757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
I want to tell you about making toast in here, Ed. Welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk, brought to you by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King. With the Coach Ed Young, I am Matt Hatfield. Dino Franz on the other side of the glass. We'll be talking with Dwight Vick, former Hampton High School star and Virginia Tech offensive lineman, coming up at about 10:45 or so this morning here on the program. He'll tell you all that he is doing in the world of sports, and he's also done some TV work. He's done some writing work. I'm sure he has some interesting opinions and perspective on everything sports related. We mentioned earlier in the show about Norfolk State having its virtual media days, and we caught up with a bunch of different people from the Spartans men's and women's basketball program. And the big topic, we sort of hit on it last segment, Ed, if you're just tuning in, about the fan situation. Norfolk State's not going to have pretty much any fans there for their home games coming up this month or next month here to start things off for this 2020-2021 campaign. And here's what Coach Rob Jones said about that. His thoughts: fans, no fans, how big of a deal is it for him? Let's give it a listen now.
We're just excited that people can actually still check us out. Now, we would love to have Eccles Hall filled, especially for some of those games that we all know what those games are that are coming up. We would rather have it, filled for Hampton and Old Dominion and William and Mary, especially when it's, Old Dominion's first time in 52 years. And Eccles, that, craziness, right? And then we got William and Mary, the first, I think this is the third time we're playing them ever. And maybe the first time at Eccles as well, right? Is this the first time at Eccles as well? Yeah. So, and then Hampton, it's always a fun game. So to only have 250 fans in those games, and really most of the fans are friends and family, they're not really just outsiders, it's going to be a little weird. That Hampton game is probably going to be the weirdest game, honestly, because I've experienced some games that you would think that the fire marshal had to come shut the place down, and to have 250 fans in a Hampton game is going to be, so we'll see how that works.
So there's the thoughts of Robert Jones. We got a couple more cuts coming up here, Ed. But that's pretty much. You're going to be going through it too at the high school ranks. And there's going to be, to our knowledge, nobody pretty much allowed. I mean, it might be a small, intimate. The parents of these players. Perhaps when we get to December 21st, we're keeping fingers crossed. But and in the case of your schools, I don't even know that they've announced that they're part of the Pixelot streaming series. But I know Norfolk State's doing streaming of their games. As is Old Dominion and a lot of the colleges all across our state and the country. And it's just a strange time. It doesn't even feel like the start of basketball right now, does it?
No, we're kind of right there. Normally we would start in November 10th area for practices and December 1st for games for high school. Colleges right now would have been playing a few exhibition games. Some of those are coming up. I think Old Dominion, Virginia Wesleyan, December 22nd.
That's right.
Canceled. That's coming up. So it is. It's just a different time, but everybody is apprehensive because of it could change all in 1 minute.
It really can, and a couple of the games coming up for Norfolk State to get things tipped off. We mentioned about Old Dominion playing Maryland on Wednesday. We're carrying that game at 2, are we not, Dino?
Yes.
On Wednesday?
Yes.
So you can hear Ted Alexander, Dave Torzik with the Monarchs, and the Terps coming up on Wednesday right here on ESPN Radio 94.1. You've got Norfolk State playing James Madison in Harrisonburg at noon on Friday. They play Radford on Saturday in Harrisonburg. Then you got that December 2nd game with Old Dominion at Eccles Hall. They play Hampton on the 7th of December. The 9th, they host William and Mary. So it's good to see some of the local colleges, in-state colleges, the regional rivalries, if you will. And I think one of the, I guess you could say, misnomers about NSU basketball, at least lately, is, and we talked about this with Robert Jones when he came on the program several weeks back, is, they were known initially at first, and some of it was because Coach Jones was an assistant under Anthony Evans, who ended up bolting for FIU after helping take the Spartans to the NCAA tournament in that shocking upset as a 15 seed over Missouri, as a school that didn't recruit locally, recruit to state. They got more guys from New York than they did from Virginia. But you look at the roster now, you got Isaiah Chambers from Oscar Smith, Joe Bryant, regarded as maybe the best defender in the MEAC from Lake Taylor. You got Devontae Carter, who played at Woodside, Andre Bottoms, who also played at Oscar Smith, along with Isaiah Chambers. And Keontae Chavis from Norfolk Collegiate. So kind of debunking the theory is Coach Jones of we don't recruit locally. Here's what he said about it.
Yeah, that reputation, I tell you, we discussed it was an unfair reputation. You had to do what you had to do to try to be successful, and that was the easiest place to get, people from. But, now with having a local flavored team, honestly, People can't say that anymore. They still say that now. It's just a little insane. If you look at our roster, 90% of the roster is from Virginia. And that's not always necessarily like we just totally wanted to switch that because of that theory. But we just started to get better Virginia players. And Devontae and Joe happen to be some of the better players. I mean, Joe was a state champion in high school. Devontae, although he went to IMG Academy, he was still one of the better players in the area when he did play here. And then you got, other guys on our team. Chris Ford went to LC Bird, which is a state power. And you got Isaiah Chambers, who went to Oscar Smith, which did he did very well there. And then you got a whole list of those guys like that. So I'm happy to have the Virginia players. And I know usually it adds to the fan excitement about the team and about the program and things like that, and usually increases attendance. So I know my business department, athletic people, are happy about that with increased attendance. So it's a great thing, and we're going to continue to try to get the best players possible. If they happen to be in Virginia, then we'll go for it. If they happen to be in New York, then we'll do it too. We just want to have the best players possible. And
you were a college coach once, Ed. I think to kind of piggyback on that a little bit was you want to get players from winning programs. You hit on it, not just the ones here from the 757 area code, but they got on their roster Tyrese Jenkins, who was a state player of the year from Varina High School in Richmond. Chris Ford, who played at LC Bird, who's always in the mix. You got to see them last week, in fact, in basketball, their team currently. So they're getting players that have had success wherever they've been, whether they're from the 757 or outside of it.
Yeah, they had the knock on them, and I was one of those people a few years back that said, you got great players around here. What are you doing? But he is exactly 100% right. You go where you can get the right type of players for your program, no matter where they're from. Now, obviously you want to try to get some local flavor because it does help with fans. It does help excitement. Local brings about local a lot of the times. But sometimes local kids don't want to stay local. They think it's better and more cool to be somewhere else. But Norfolk State has really turned it around. They've done a tremendous job getting the locals. Now, the danger with getting local players, if you get local and you don't play them or they don't pan out, it hurts you in recruiting because local kids will see that and then other schools use that against you, say, hey, man, you don't want to go local. You don't even play people that are already there. So you have to be very careful about that. But he was 100% right. Go where there's players, number one. Number two, you've got to recruit winning players who have the right type of work ethic. You can't bring in bums at a college level and get you fired quick.
Yeah, you really can. And so far we're seeing all these teams from the Commonwealth. It's also part of our question of the day. We'll tell you about here in a bit on 757 Saturday Sports Talk about who the better teams are, about UVA being a preseason favorite. But one more cut from Coach Robert Jones. We asked him the other day about, this coming season, it's so strange and not having the usual prep time and in-person training and working with your players. How do you kind of, compare and contrast it? What is the area that you're looking to focus in on more? Is it offensively, defensively, and what about depth as well?
Offensively, I would say, honestly, because defense, even though it's like different rotations and things like that, you got to worry about and do the right way to have a good defensive team. Defense a lot of times is about effort, and heart and things like that. So if you can, have some intensity and some effort, you can be a halfway good defensive team. Even early, you could be a halfway good defensive team. But offensively, getting used to some of the new players, where they like the ball, who can do what, who's going to be a standout for us, spacing, timing, screening, things like that. That's the challenge. So we're hoping our defense could generate some offense early for us, and as our offense continues to get better throughout the season. So that's probably been the biggest challenge. I like my depth, but I think depth is definitely going to be something that's going to be needed. Especially, I know a lot of conferences, I think ours might do the same thing eventually is, going to that back-to-back game format. I think the teams with the most depth are going to have a better chance to win that second game. So I do like our depth, honestly. That's probably the biggest thing that kind of sticks out to me right now is that we have a lot of interchangeable parts without a lot of drop-off. So I'm excited about the depth part of our team. But, there is a lot of uncertainty still.
That was Coach Robert Jones of Norfolk State University at their virtual media day this week. He's the preseason favorite. His team is, as is the women's team in the MEAC. It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1, brought to you by Larry King Law. And Ed, more than ever, I know you're big on depth. You play a lot of your bench, but high school and college basketball, if you can't survive the marathon and have reserves and second unit ready to go, I'm not sure you're going to survive and make it through the season. It is as imperative as ever before because from game to game, week to week, day to day, you don't know who you're going to have and what's going to be thrown at you.
Yeah, depth is very important. I've always said, I learned that as a young coach years and years ago. You got to develop kids. High school level, it's extremely important at every level, but the high school level is the hardest to play depth because you have kids that aren't as good. College, you recruit all those kids. Pretty much your 10th man in college was probably a decent high school player. Pros, they were all pretty good college players. High school, you got some guys that you keep that really you need to give them a year to get ready, and sometimes you can't. I've been a believer in having 10 guys ready. Plus, why keep a kid if you're not going to play him? And that it could give you some L's too early in the year, but that way come playoff time, when you have to go to somebody, they're ready. If a kid's not ready, I blame that on the coach. Now, that is coaching. You got to get these kids ready. You got to give them some time. And playing a kid 20 seconds a game is not getting them ready. Depth has always been a big reason of our success, and thank God it works. And, of course, we've lost games because I played too many kids at times, but you do need depth. And I wanted to make a point, too, about what Coach Jones said with this pandemic, things you have to worry about. At the high school level, I know us, we only have one day to work out. You got to get a lot of stuff in there. I'm kind of the opposite of what Coach Jones is saying. I'm trying to get our defense really moving, really aligned to get those easier buckets in transition. And then you let the offense take care of itself where your better players can get to the hole or whatever. But it is so tough because we can't do any screening. We can't get next to anybody. I got my people telling me to keep separating that. It makes it tough. But I'm a little bit the opposite. We got to get the defense going. And
even your dog's barking right now. You didn't take him out and feed him.
I'm getting. We got 2 teams playing today. We're all over the place. I'm getting messages from all over the world here. It's I've got some 6'3" recruits sitting on the side waiting to come in. I've got to make sure they're okay. It's just a lot going on, man. It's just a whole. Oh, I want to give our good buddy Jim Hammond, long-time college basketball coach at Norfolk State, Shawan, tremendous basketball mind. Jim is usually giving us a listen out there. He quickly let me know Banana Slugs is the nickname of the University of California Santa Cruz team.
Oh, okay.
So now I challenge the listeners to find out what is a banana slug. Not an athlete at Santa Cruz.
That's the homework assignment, okay.
That's the homework assignment. Being a teacher, I got to show that. What is a banana slug? Can anybody put that on your what is that?
Poll
Twitter
question?
Yeah,
we call it Twitter,
whatever
Twitter, yeah. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato.
Get that stuff in there. Yeah. By the way, I'm getting closer to getting a Twitter account.
Oh, that's lovely to know. You got to know what it's called. You call it Twitter.
Let me put it this way. I'm in negotiations.
Okay.
My people are talking to their people.
Nice to know. We got it up on our poll question, too. Spiders, wasps, banana slugs. You'll be happy to know it. The early returns are in. We haven't counted all the votes yet. We're still waiting for some polling places, but right now the banana slugs are in the early lead. Let's take a couple phone calls before we get to Dwight Vick, though, and say hello to Keith. Are you in Paramount, Virginia? Is that right?
No, Claremont.
Claremont. All right. Well, you're all over the place. Keith, the universal Keith. How are you today?
I'm doing fine.
All right.
How you doing, man?
Keith, I'm good now because I get to hear your voice again. We know you're okay. It's just that you're more on the move than somebody in the witness protection program. You're all over the place. Are you in a witness protection program?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Staying busy. Staying busy is all.
What are you staying busy with?
How's the family?
They doing fine. Mama doing fine. My dad doing fine. My brother doing fine.
Okay, so everybody's good. You're back online with us. Okay, I feel good. It's a good day already.
Yes, I'm gonna get all shout outs to this morning to Coach Porter and the whole coaching staff of the basketball team in Smithfield, and plus also the coaching staff baseball at Smithfield football team too.
Yeah, Coach baseball. Football. It's crazy. It's gonna be here before you know it for high school if we get to the season. It's supposed to start February 22nd. So it's going to be so strange for us when we come in here on Saturday mornings and we'll be talking about high school football games in March and February, with the NCAA tournament looming around the corner there, perhaps.
Hey, Keith, your Smithfield guys, Coach Porter, just whooped up on my kids. I think we played them just now over at Boo Williams in the Fall League Series, and I got the report right. I think we played them first. We just got smacked by your Smithfield Packers.
Oh, we got Coach Porter. We all got a good team. Yeah, but we got a lot of seniors. This senior group this year, led by KJ and them guys, man. Them guys, we got a lot of guys who can shoot the ball.
Well, you shot it well because they did well. Now, I did send a lot of my young guys up there because my older group, returning to varsity kids, are going to be in Virginia Beach playing today. So it was my younger kids, JV. We started 3 freshmen in that game this morning. So it just tells me our youngsters have to pick it up.
And another thing, today, y'all watch on ESPN Radio, local guy, Chris Pierce is on fire right now at Vanderbilt. He been playing excellent ball, man.
It's funny you say that. We have not brought him up with some of the locals, and we got to shout out a few of them that are playing. Kevin Marks from Norview, by the way, doing well, running the football for the Buffalo Bulls, who I think are still unblemished there in the MAC right now. But, yeah, Vanderbilt today, they're playing, I believe it's at noon against Florida.
Florida Gators. I'll be watching their game today.
Yeah, and Mr. Pierce has been one of their better wide receivers this year. In fact, he is 16 catches, 204 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tied for the team leading touchdown catches, Keith. I think he gets one today.
Yes, sir. And last thing, if I got there, y'all missing one guy, local guy from Norfolk State. There's another kid up there, man. He can leap now. Chambers.
Oh, we mentioned Isaiah Chambers. Yeah, Coach Jones did talk about him, the 6'7", 230-pound Ford center sophomore, and Ed got to see him up close and personal in the Southeastern District. Still has nightmares about him dunking on him.
Yes, sir. Ed, y'all hope having a good season this year, man.
Well, I appreciate it, Keith, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed that we'll have a season, especially for senior athletes everywhere, that they get one in. So hopefully you'll get a chance to get out and see us play.
Yes, sir. You have a nice weekend.
All right, Keith, take care.
I think he was dunking on you with a 30-point lead in the fourth quarter, but I'll leave that alone. Let's go to the next
But I have video of Justin Farley putting down a monster dunk.
Oh, I did see that. That was a great dunk last year.
Yeah,
it was against Smith. Let's talk to I think this is our man Demetrius on a cell before we go to break and bring in Dwight Vick. How you doing, Demetrius?
Hey, what's happening? How you doing? To the best backcourt since the dynamic duel.
Well, we got to do it since Curry and Thompson can't play together anymore. Since Thompson's hurt.
Hey, Demetrius, we're the best of both worlds. We have the height of a backcourt and the weight of a front court.
I hear you, brother. I just wanted to jump in on the conversation. I heard you talking about getting kids ready and not just playing them for 20 seconds. Ed, you know, one of the, and you guys know I cover sports here in the Northern Neck, covering a couple of the schools. But one of the things that really bothers me when it comes to high school coaching, especially in basketball, is that they don't play. Some schools don't play more than 7 kids. And, you know, when I played back in my day in high school, every kid played. But here was the key thing about that all was every kid on that team knew his role, whether it was be to come in and play defense, whether it was be to come in and try to shut somebody down or be a scorer. But everybody knew their role. And my coach played every kid from 1 until 15. And of course, you know, those starters are going to play more than anybody else, but everybody knew their role. You don't see that much happening today in high school basketball. Why, Ed?
Good point, Demetrius. I don't understand. I see coaches up 15, 20 points, and they're playing 4 starters. I don't get it. Teach their own in their program. Being a high school coach, I can't tell people what to do. I got to worry about my own self and trying to get better every day. But I just think it's abysmal that you keep kids and don't play them. And I've talked to coaches about it. And when I've spoke at clinics, I do a series on how to substitute and how substitution can work for you, knowing the value or actually knowing the limitations of some of your lesser talented kids. You can still get them in, but there's a key way to do it. Plus, you don't play your quote 5 bottom guys at the same time. Your production will be horrible. They won't play well together. But you can't sneak your 13th man in with your top 3 or 4 players. That's how you do it. There is a way to do it, and you get your young kids opportunity to play. You hit it on the head about knowing the role. Find a role for a kid. You always have to have a chance to move up in your role. But these guys that only play 7 or 8 people, then why don't you just keep 7 or 8? Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I'll make this last point out, and I'll let you guys go. I know you got to run and got other things to take care of, but I really believe that there should be every now and then some like high school coaches conferences, so coaches can get together and kind of talk about, you know, what they're trying to do, how to make the game better, the things and the tools that they use, especially with a lot of the younger coaches. I mean, like, for instance, Lancaster's got a new coach now. Tim Rice is retired. They got a new coach who's coming in who's only coached middle school ball, and I'm not saying that that's a knock, but this is going to be a different level for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to come at him fast, especially in the county of Lancaster, because the people in this community, they love their basketball. So if you had a coaches conference, this would kind of really help a young coach like that who's going into his first year as a high school basketball coach. And I appreciate the time. I'll get off and let you answer the question. You guys having a great show. I appreciate you taking time for me.
Thanks, Demetrius.
Appreciate the
call.
Go
Yankees.
Yeah, go Yankees. And yeah, Dwayne Penn stepping in there at Lancaster. He talks about for Tim Rice, who's retired as a coach. So he's got big shoes to fill there. Tim won a couple of state titles for the Red Devils.
And to answer his question, why don't we have conference? Why don't coaches do it? Egos. A lot of high school coaches feel they know everything, and it's like a step down if I have to go ask somebody for help and information. Sometimes we have our own little cliques that we'll stick to, but really that's the issue with egos. And sometimes veteran coaches feel that they've been through it all, heard it all, seen it all, and what they do works because we get comfortable in our little zone. I like getting out and talking to young people. That's why I hired some young staff now from my program to help me learn and get better with it. But, yeah, we do need more talk amongst each other.
We'll take a timeout and talk with the former all-conference team captain of the Virginia Tech Hokies, who also played at Hampton High for the Crabbers, does some broadcasting work, victorylife.com. Dwight Vick will join us with yours truly, Matt Hatfield, and the Eagleless Ed Young right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.